Good morning, everyone. Please take your seats.
Test, test.
I understand shorter breaks are difficult because we basically end your conversations at 2/3 of it instead of at the end, unfortunately. But I'll keep it very short, and it is a massive pleasure, actually, that they asked me to introduce Martin Dilger. Martin Dilger, for those who do not know him, is an author of a book, and I know he's probably not going to plug his book because it's awkward to do that, so I'll do it for him. He wrote a book called Understanding Event Sourcing. Does that make sense to anyone? Who here does not understand event sourcing? All right, you should buy it. Who here has somebody in their surroundings who does not understand event sourcing that really should? Keep your hands up. Who of you has, lower your hand if you've bought the book. Okay. Okay. If your hand was still up, buy it. If your hand was down, buy an extra copy just for him. And anyway, but all right, that's enough. But it's an absolute pleasure to welcome Martin. So let's take it up slice by slice.
Wow, that's a serious crowd here. I didn't expect that. Not sure about you, but the one thing I hate about this conference this year is the parallel tracks, because you miss out so much. So welcome to my talk. I'm really glad you joined here. Last year was my first year here at the Axoniq conference. I really loved it. So many bright people, so much discussions, and it's the same thing this year. So I really enjoy this conference, and I'm really happy to be able to give a talk today. Also a workshop in the afternoon. Anybody joined my workshop yesterday already? So there will be another workshop where we'll go a little bit deeper into event modeling. But in this talk, we will talk about slices, slice by slice. What does that actually mean? And on the way, we'll break one of the biggest myths which is out there about event modeling. So the people here in the room, are you aware of event modeling? Who is working with event modeling right now? That's amazing. Who is working with it on a daily basis in your project, or is it just a hobby? Who is working with it on a daily basis? Great, great. So today I will give a brief introduction about event modeling, but just briefly. So if you want to know more, join my workshop in the afternoon. But the talk is called Slice by Slice. It's not called Slide by Slide. So there are no slides, no slides. And so as I said, the talk is called Slice by Slice, not Slide by Slide. There are no slides. Just a few years ago, I would have been very anxious before a talk like that. No slides, nothing to hide behind. There is a neat little trick I use nowadays to get rid of all the anxiety. At some point in time, I just decided we're going to have fun today on stage. That's the only goal we have for this talk. We're going to have fun today. I will have fun. You will have fun. We use a lot of AI. We use a lot of code generation. Tons that can go wrong. That everything can go wrong. But either way, you'll be entertained. Even if I completely mess everything up, you'll be entertained beautifully. So good you joined. Slice by slice, what does that mean? So Alad already introduced it. Thank you very much, Alad. I wrote this book called Understanding Event Sourcing. Quick story about this book. Why did I write this? It wasn't intentional at all. I was asking on LinkedIn and in the event modeling community, hey, we're answering the same questions again and again and again. Would anybody be interested if I write a few pages? Yeah, there was a lot of response. So I just started writing. I had a simple goal, write 1,000 words a day. That was a simple goal I had. 3 months later, this book with 700 pages was done. And now it's basically available, and more than 3,000 people have read it until now, which is really amazing. So maybe people start to understand what event sourcing actually is, but the people here, of course, do understand it very well. And 2 people wrote the forwards. It's Adam Dimitruk, the inventor of event modeling, and Gabriel, which are both here. So take the chance and talk to these people. They have a lot of experience and a lot of stories to tell. So one thing I realized on the way is the biggest problems we are solving, they are not technical at all. The biggest problems we are solving, they have nothing to do with technology. Technology is the easy part in every project. Do you know that? So to increase the chance of success in your projects, you only have to do two things. First, define the problem you need to solve. That's also the easy part. The hard part is make all the people agree on this problem. So make them aware this is the problem we are trying to solve, make them agree. And event modeling helps us with that, of course. So what are we going to do today in this talk? We break one of the biggest myths of event modeling, which is, well, event modeling is only for new projects. It's only for new projects. I hear that so often. Maybe a quick introduction after Alan introduced me so beautifully. I work as a consultant. I'm Martin. I come from Germany. I work as a consultant. I support companies in adopting event sourcing and adopting event modeling. I help them to get into the right mindset. What I hear very, very often is, we like event modeling. We like the idea of event modeling, but we cannot do it because we don't have a Greenfield project. Nobody does. Who is actually working on a Greenfield project? We all have to deal with some kind of legacy systems, some worse than the other. But we all have to deal with these systems. And oftentimes people tell me, oh, we can't work with event modeling. We don't have this Greenfield project. Well, today you will see you don't have to have a Greenfield project. Event modeling works beautifully well in any kind of legacy system. I use this all the time to understand what does the system actually do. What's the problem with legacy systems? Most of the time you have this big black box that does something. And if you ask, okay, what's happening in your system? Nobody can really tell you. Somehow it works, but nobody can tell you why. Oftentimes. And event modeling is a great way to just get this understanding back because you have no documentation, nothing. Use event modeling to document your existing systems. And the amazing thing is, we heard a lot about AI. You can use AI to build these event models for you. Just let it on your code base, give it a few instructions, and AI can build your event model for you as a first starting point to understand what is going on in your system. So we will then use a little bit of AI to capture requirements and start our modeling. We will model a few slices using event modeling, and then we will go into a little bit of code generation and implement the system using Axon 4. So it's not Axon 5 yet, but I will also try to use event modeling and combine it with the new amazing Axoniq platform we saw yesterday. So instead of prompting everything, we could just put in an event model into the platform and let it generate the code from this event model. Let's see if that works. Overall, we will just have fun modeling a little bit, generating code a little bit, talking about slices a little bit, and then hopefully we'll have something running at the end of the session. But we'll see. Let me give you a quick primer on event modeling, because it's very simple. The big premise of event modeling is it's simple. If it's complicated, you're most probably doing it wrong. It has to be simple. We are only using 5 elements to describe any system in the world. And whenever I come to a customer and they tell me, they hear about 5 elements, they say, okay, that's nice if you can do it, make it that simple, but this doesn't work for us because we are different. Our system is different. Well, it turns out, I don't think so. I don't think so. Any system can be described with only a few elements because if you break down these processes into slices, any process becomes simple because you look at the simple steps of these processes. You only need events. An event, I always explain it like that because this seems to resonate with people. An event is something, just something that happened in your system. Doesn't matter really what it is. Something that happened in the system that changed the state of your system. And then we have commands. And command is something we want to happen in our system. It didn't happen yet, but we want it to happen. So we instruct the system to do something. The next one is a read model. Read model is just, we make sense of what already happened in the system. We already have a few events. Let's make sense of it. Let's build a projection for a UI. Let's build a projection for an automatic process, for example. Then we have screens. We work a lot with screens in event modeling because it improves understanding. How users do make sense. How users do make things happen in the system. Is there a button that they click? What needs to happen for our system to change? And we have automations, which is basically the side effects of what happened in the system. So everything circles around the things that happen in our system, the events. And this is, of course, also the reason why we talk about event sourcing, because it simply makes sense. And if you look at how we model systems with event modeling, we naturally come to this concept called a slice. And many people get this wrong. Many people don't understand what is a slice. We talk about slices. For me, it's completely natural. I'm thinking in slices. Slices is my unit of work. I'm working with slices. But many people get this wrong, and I saw this yesterday. Something that happened yesterday, and I didn't anticipate that. People pulled me aside and showed me their event models and say, "Oh, something feels weird. Can you just have a quick look at my event model?" And I realized it's always the same patterns I'm seeing. So I changed this presentation. So the idea of what I'm talking about, I changed this a little bit yesterday after a few Heinekens, which might have been not the best idea, but we'll see. I saw the same patterns on all event models. It were the same patterns everywhere. So looking at a slice is very simple. Define a business capability in your system. For example, a slice could be you have a UI, you have an API that gets called, and a resulting event in your system. Just a full functionality. Get data into your system. We call this a state change slice. It's the first one here. Or there is something like a state view slice. Use all the events in the system that are already available, build a projection out of it, and use the AI in that. Just a small piece of functionality in your system. That's all a slice is. A small piece of functionality. One thing to reason about. If you ask me, a slice is what microservices always should have been. A small piece of functionality. You don't talk about deployables. You don't talk about infrastructure. It doesn't matter. We're talking about business capabilities, functionality. But if you look at what people do with event modeling, it's this. These are the 4 patterns I see. Because some of these event models I saw yesterday, the people told me, oh, we cannot zoom in because there's NDA and stuff. But can you look at the zoomed out version? And only from the shape of the slice, you can tell what's wrong with it. Pretty interesting. And I gave these 4 patterns I discovered here names, maybe also induced by Heineken, but might change. So the first one is the left chair. Just think for a second, what could that be? What's the problem with this? So I see this all the time. Just from the shape you can tell, okay, what's going on? You have one command and 12 events. Maybe not the best idea. Yesterday in the workshop, Adam mentions he wants to have one command, one event. A one-to-one relationship, which is always what you should strive for. But oftentimes, especially when people start with event modeling, they try to model their existing reality, what is currently there. And this is what happens. You have one action and tons of side effects, and if you try to model what is currently in your system, this is what comes out. But this is not what you want in your event model. You want to have the information flow understandable. So that's an anti-pattern. Sometimes you don't have exactly this one-to-one relationship, but you should strive for it. It should be the goal. The next one is the bad. Same thing. I saw this pattern yesterday. Saving on slices. So we don't want to model all these slices. We just have one UI with all this functionality and all these commands that gets fired. So everything is entangled somehow. We call this the bad. Could also be the bad. I don't know. Then we have the right chair. Just look at the shape. What could that be? Not necessarily an anti-pattern. So sometimes you have these read models, you have these projections that just take a lot of information. But just from the shape, you see sometimes in these event models, everything is connected to this one event model. And oftentimes this happens when you have this big page at the end of a process where you simply show all information, and suddenly you have all this coupling again at the last read model. So it could be perfectly fine. Just something to look at, might be something interesting. And then, of course, we have the thing. What's that? Also not necessarily an anti-pattern, but something to look at. You have this beautifully lined out event model, and sometimes one slice in the middle is this. Tons and tons and tons of give and when thens. All the logic basically in one slice. Could be fair, but oftentimes just something to look at. I've seen all these patterns yesterday, every single one. It's interesting. So slices are really the building blocks, and they should be simple. And these patterns here is just an indication. This doesn't look simple. Maybe just look at it. Maybe we can simplify it a little bit. Slices should be simple. So in the workshop this afternoon, we will go through a real-world event modeling session. So we will do this. We will build an event model together. So if you're interested in how that really works, I will do that exactly how I do it with my customers. I highly encourage you to join the session. But I told you we will break one of the myths of event modeling, and we will go where it really hurts. Who knows this application? The Spring Pet Clinic. Every Java developer, every Spring developer, at one point in time in their career, came in touch with this application somehow. The Spring Pet Clinic, it's the mother of all CRUD applications. We all learned it the wrong way from this application, at least I did. I'm completely to blame for that. But what we do now is, we just use this code base, and I will plug it into an AI, and I will tell the AI, give me an event model from that. Just show me what is going on in this application without looking at the code at all. Let's see if that works. I'm using CLAUDE for this. It should be fine. I already prepared that, so it should be fine. Let's see. So here is the Spring Pet Clinic. I'm using the Kotlin version of it. There are different versions of it. You can use the Java version. You can use the Kotlin version. And this is still maintained, right? It's not legacy. This is still actively maintained. So what you can do is, I just start CLAUDE. 4.5, of course. I realized that 4.5 is really good, so you should give it a try. And I can just say, analyze me this code base. I have a CLAUDE file I use for that, so CLAUDE MD file with some instructions how to analyze it. It will basically look at what are the APIs, how is data getting into the system, how is data getting out of the system, looks at the unit tests, can we extract some given when thens from the unit tests, what are the business rules, and stuff like that. Just tries to understand the structure and find the slices. So it will just analyze it. You will see here, okay, these are the use cases. We have something like owner management, we have something like pet management, visit management, veterinarian management. That all looks good. And now you could say, I want to go into the detail. Show me the detailed event model of one flow, or just use the high level event model. That's often what I do. Use the high level event model. Instead of going through the code, just build your event model and go through it and see what happens in the system. This is a great starting point. So instead of doing that, we will just use what is already there. So it's here, the high level analysis JSON is the JSON file that gets generated. And I will just import it here in Miro. So what you see here on the left is the Miro event modeling toolkit, which is just a Miro extension for event modeling. We will experiment with this in the workshop this afternoon. It's for free. You can just install it and play around with it. And there is this import model. You can just use the JSON you get from CLAUDE and import it here. Let's just see what happens. So this is it analyzed the existing code base, and this is what you get from it. It won't be 100% perfect, and it shouldn't be, because the important part of event modeling is the discussion with the stakeholders, the discussion between people, the human interaction. That's the important part. But it's a great starting point already. So it's still going. It's intentionally going slow because it's pretty hard to do this in Miro, because they have these nasty API limits that you don't want to hit. But what you have here, this is a decent event model. And you can just look at it. What's going on? What happens here? So we have owner search form, search owners, yeah, register owner, owner registered, that's fine. So we have something like owner management, that's good. Owner updated, pet registered, that's also fine. Update pet, bit cruddy, but well, why not? Then we have visits, schedule a visit gets scheduled. This all comes directly from the code. So you don't have to analyze the whole code. You can just look at the event model. It's much easier to understand. And you already see, if you look at that, how many slices do we have? You already have a rough number of slices what could be in this system. Might be completely wrong, but it's already a good indication. Hey, we have 20 slices. It's not that big. We can work with that. But then we could decide, okay, we could now build on this event model, but oftentimes I just use the event model for a first high-level indication. What is going on in the system? Now we understand the system. Now we know the high-level use cases. Now let's get a little bit into the trenches. So oftentimes you have these requirements documents here. Open at your own risk. It's a CRUD application. So we all know if we deal with CRUD applications and we have to rewrite parts of it, the requirement is always the same. As is, right? You always have to re-implement it as is. People want to stick to their processes. They know their processes. Or do they? I'm not sure. But they want the system as is because they know how it works. Event modeling is a beautiful way to break this a little bit apart and look at these processes in detail. Now you have these high-level documents here. This documentation, you can use AI to build event models from your requirements here. You could just say, the first thing we do in event modeling is always the brainstorming. The brainstorming is just a nice starting point to get the first timeline, get the events. What could be the events? And you can use AI to extract the events from that, like this. Takes a few seconds, and it comes up with a few events, like owner registered. That's apparently what we are doing. Pet registered, visit scheduled. That looks fine. What we will do now is we will just model a few slices and then just see, can we generate some code directly from the event model? And we will also use the Axoniq platform for that. Let's take one use case, pet registration. So what I typically do is I put on, we call this a chapter. It's just, Adam calls this a workflow. It's just a blue arrow, which says pet management. Management is always good, always fits. Whatever you do, you can call it management and everybody will agree. It's nice. So, first event here, pet registered. My first question is always, well, how does this happen? How does this information get into the system? How does a pet get registered? Well, somebody will know there is a UI. I'm doing this every morning. Or the people do it themselves. There's self-registration for the pets. So if you don't know what the pet clinic is, name probably tells it. It's about pets. They're going to a doctor. You can register the pets so they have it in their database. You can schedule visits and stuff like that. And we are now dealing with the pet registration. So how does this happen? Well, there is a UI for that. Oftentimes people try to skip the UIs in event modeling because it's so time consuming. Always takes a lot of time to build these UIs. I personally think if it takes you longer than 2 minutes to draw a UI, you're doing it wrong. 2 minutes, not more. Oftentimes people use 10 minutes, 15 minutes for one screen, take 2 minutes. More than 2 minutes is wrong. So oftentimes my screens look like this. Drawing ugly screens is part of the process. So you have these input fields here, you have a name, maybe you have a description, and maybe you have an age. Do you need an age for an animal? I don't know. Name, description. Is that ugly enough? Would you agree? I can go uglier. Not sure if that is even a word. Okay, that's the birthday. And of course we have some kind of a button down here which says save. Now next thing happens is how do we get from the screen down to the pet registered? Of course there will be a command in between. Command is how we instruct the system, the things we want to happen in the system, and the command will be register pet. Something like this. And now we could simply define, okay, what is the information we have? What is the information we are dealing with? We already defined it in the screen, but typically I start with the event and I just say, okay, what is the information? So we have the name, and you see something happening here, right? The arrow is turning red. It's the most important part in event modeling, or one of the most important parts is the information completeness check. At any point in time, we ensure our system is information complete. It prevents us from making the worst mistake, wrong assumptions. So we don't want to have any wrong assumptions in our system. So we just need to make sure we have all the information available. So let's say we have name, we have description, and we have the age. And now we just make sure, because we're already running out of time, we just make sure that all the information is propagated properly through the system. So we have one slice defined here. And we could now use this slice and just use it for code generation, for example. This is already capable to do code generation, because if you work with slices, you don't look at the whole process. You can start with one slice. You take one slice and implement it. And this gets even simpler with the new platform Axoniq provides. Just use this one slice definition and go to the platform and let it build and see, does it work? Does it make sense? Can we build this? Can we have it running? And what I did is, I played around with the platform yesterday. And I tried something, and I want to show you what we can do with this new developer agent, because Axoniq provides this amazing way to show a white screen, which is quite... yeah. I like the branding. It's simple. It's simple. Simplicity rules, right? Now what you can do is you can just use the JSON you get from this event model in Miro. You can export a JSON and you can plug it in here. I had to hack it a little bit because allowed limits the characters to 2000. What the heck? 2000 is nothing. But I prepared something. So we have these slices already here. So there is pet. You can register pet. You can visit, view the pet, and there is also an automation. And we could just now say something like, I will give you a few slices. Don't start generating before I tell you to start. My hack around the 2000 character limit. Don't remove that, I will need that. By the way, if you manage to get this running, vote for this application. I already told my son I might bring home a present. So you need to vote for this application. If not, I need to buy something at the airport. So don't disappoint me, right? So it's the pet clinic. The pet clinic. Okay, vibe me. Go into vibe mode and just, so it shouldn't start, hopefully. It's waiting. Now I'll just plug in these slices I have here. Does it work? So it's really just the event model encoded as JSON. Just plug it in here. Go. I use CRUD to trim down everything to less than 2000 characters. Do you like that alert? I just use 3 slices here. Ella might remove this hack, but I just tried it and it seemed to work. So the neat thing is, this is enough. You can use this to generate the code. This is enough. So it analyzes the slices and it starts the code generation, and it provides the flows, it provides the commands, everything is in there. There's a one-to-one translation between your event models and your code. And with this platform, it's even faster. So I really hope there will be more integrations with event modeling, but instead of vibing your application, you can just use the event model, because in the event model, you already encoded everything that is necessary. All the information is there from your business experts. Nothing you made up, it's from your business experts. So we can just go here and say, yeah, approve everything. Is it still working? I think it is. Just say approve all, because I know the event model is valid, information complete. Everything is good. I can just approve it. Now I'm vibing, just hitting next, 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 next. Let's go. process. What does it say? Must be in one of the following journeys. Okay, I just ignore that. I hope it still works. So here I had a few more fields. I had an email field for the notification because there was an automation in there. Was just playing around with this, and it's just providing the properties. Everything is here, and we can just now start generating the code. Approve everything, and go. Pet clinic. Don't forget to vote for that, right? So of course we won't finish this on time. Now it's doing the hard work. It's generating the code, but it's really amazing how well that works. I work a lot with code generation. I'm talking about code generation for almost 2 years. I use it a lot, but seeing this yesterday, I was blown away. I love the new platform. There's so much potential I'm seeing there. You should really play around with this. And the best way, in my opinion, to start with this is by defining your slices, by defining your event models, and then go to the code. The important part happens in the event model, and then go to the code. And if you do that, everything will be fine, I promise. So with that being said, I think we are almost at the end. So maybe there's room for some questions. Maybe you have some questions. But as always, this was far too fast, but I enjoyed the session a lot.
Do we have a sound? Yeah, I have a question. Yes. Are we colleagues? No, just kidding. That was amazing, and thanks for hacking this. And it's actually a really good hack. So just use it. We'll try to not close this one. Does anyone have a question? Oh, he might not be happy with the hack.
Is it working? Yeah. So first off, thank you for hacking. It's actually has yielded a great result. So thank you for using the platform and showing the power. But if you want to win the contest, then you need to press that share button up there so we can actually see it. Thank you. So I hope your kid wins the Lego set. Perfect.
Does anyone else have a question? Do we have running code and it's compiling?
Any questions?
You showed a couple of bad practices. Would you resolve one of those bad practices? You've got, for example, one command, many events.
Yeah.
What would be a good way to find a solution?
Just map it out horizontally, make it more slices. So for example, if you have one event and then you have an automation and then you have the next event, just map it out horizontally. So you don't want to have these big slices, just step by step. That's the important part. We can talk about this in the workshop this afternoon if you want to join.
Mitchell, is it going to finish in time? It's the AI that's being slow. No.
Yeah, thanks. I'm wondering, this is the hardest part, but you said you want to bust the myth of it's only for Greenfield, and we saw that we can easily extract the model from a legacy application.
Yeah.
But the outcome is a new zip file you download from this generator. Do you have ideas how to use the legacy application, analyze it, and reintegrate the models?
So what I often do is the first step is always understanding the legacy system. That's always the first part. Model it out, have the event model, and then you can decide what to do with it. Do you want to extract something and build an event source system? Great, then just generate it, use everything there. But event modeling is completely agnostic of implementation. So if you have something like this here, where is it? This doesn't tell you it's event source. This doesn't even tell you it's event driven. What you can see here, this could be a perfect representation of a SQL insert into a relational table. So just mapping this out, you can just use it to plan your legacy systems and you in real time basically extend your legacy systems. Oftentimes we use it just for documentation. That's what I see often, and then try to extract it to event source systems. But you could just work with your regular system, your traditional system. I don't want to use it. Legacy is just such a bad term. But I know a few companies who work with this. They don't have event sourcing. They just use it for their CRUD applications.
far are we?
Should we? Okay, let's.
I want to know.
It's still
Do
generating.
you want to know?
It's still.
Right, Mitchell, I have a feature request. No, can we make the AI faster? Whatever we do. Does anyone else have a question? Uh-oh. So the code generation part is fast. It's just a compiling.
Maybe.
That's massive.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Probably is going like, oh, this is pet clinic. Come on, really? The cruddiest
it's
crud of all the
And it's
stuff out
also
there.
making some test cases, the given when then. So it's really working. It translates everything you do have an event model into the code. It's really working beautifully. But it's too slow. We need to work on that.
All right. Fortunately, there's other talks today. There's time to vote. You can already vote on it because it is now public. If just trust it. Trust the code. Trust the AI. What could possibly go wrong? Vote for it. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Martin.
thank you very
And,
much for joining. That was a lot of fun.